Hey, what's up guys? Spencer Tedic here. Today we're going to talk about Starlink. What is Starlink? Who's it for? Why should I care? Here we go. So Starlink is SpaceX's broadband internet service that is currently in a beta testing phase. Starlink is really targeted towards people that can't get internet or have very poor speeds and latency in their areas, which is a lot of the United States and a lot of the world that don't have internet connectivity, or it's very spotty and sometimes not worth the time because the speeds are so slow and the latency is so high that it's not really worth using. And typically the prices are a lot higher than what you would get in a bigger city, because there's no competition, but the speeds with that are just not good. They're not fast and their latency is incredibly high, so it's just not a great option at this point. So Starlink is essentially a constellation of satellites orbiting the Earth that have been launched into orbit by SpaceX. So one of the major benefits that SpaceX has is they are able to launch their own Starlink satellites into orbit using their own rockets, their own Falcon 9 rockets. They can launch whenever they want, however often they want. So that is a massive, puts them way ahead of everybody else. Because of that, they have direct access to space to be able to be in orbit easily. So they have launched close to 1,400 satellites. That's roughly their initial goal. They're pretty close to reaching that initial goal that they had. So as of right now, they are taking pre-orders for $99 in the US, and you can pre-order in locations like Canada, the UK, Germany, New Zealand, Australia. All of these locations, they have gained approval to be able to place that pre-order. Now, there's no guaranteed time frame when you will receive your dish. It's kind of a first come first served basis, but also once coverage reaches your latitude on Earth. So initially SpaceX was able to get permission from the FCC to launch 12,000 satellites, and then they added on top of that another 30,000. So that is a total of 42,000 satellites, which is an incredible amount of satellites. To put that into perspective, before there were any Starlink satellites launched at all, there were only, I think, around 2,000 to 3,000 satellites in orbit, period. So Starlink started to roll out right on the northernmost edge of the United States and Canada. That border right there is where they started to roll out, and then they've slowly worked their way down. So people have been mostly looking at their latitudes to figure out where service is, where it's offered. And so I'm here in Oklahoma, so my latitude is roughly 36.3, and I've seen, just as of this week, I've seen some people being able to do a full order of Starlink, not just the pre-order, the $99 pre-order, but the full additional $500 for the dish. And it comes with a PoE injector and the router. PoE injector powers the dish and helps the motor to move around and be able to focus on the satellites. I believe they have enough satellites in orbit right now to cover the whole US and most of the globe. But some of those satellites, because they were more recently launched, and we just had a launch a couple of days ago, they are very close together, and it takes some time for them. I think it's a month or two for them to fully spread out, because if you look, there's a few websites, and I'll show you kind of a visual here that show the Starlink satellites in orbit around the Earth, but it shows the ones that have just recently launched, and they're kind of just in this train formation, really tight together, and eventually they will spread out and to cover more area. And you can see the kind of coverage area they offer. These visualizations, I don't know how accurate they are, but they give you a rough idea of what the coverage might look like in your area or just anywhere on the globe. And it shows you individual satellites. That's kind of what the coverage area looks like. It's this circle, and it slowly moves across the Earth as it orbits. It's going to give you an idea if you will have any downtime, if there's gaps in where those satellites are over your location. It gives you an idea, hey, there's a good chance I might have like a 30-second disconnect here or something like that. So yeah, it gives you a good idea. of what that could look like. So I've pre-ordered Starlink for $99 back in February on the 8th, I believe. And so it's been 2 months now since I pre-ordered. So, but I have seen people getting it I live in Oklahoma, so I have seen people getting it in Oklahoma now, and I've seen at least one person down in Texas who's gotten it so far. So starting out, people were told that they would get speeds of around 150 megabits per second and like download and then upload speeds around 25 or so up, and with latency around 20 to 40 milliseconds of latency. So, and then we're gonna see, so that's what it started out with. And then just here about a month ago, Elon said, hey, we're doing some testing and you're gonna start to see double speeds. And so went from 150 up to 300, but I've seen people posting on Reddit, I've seen people posting speeds up to 500 megabits per second. And really good low latency as well. So just recently we heard from Gwynne Shotwell, the president of SpaceX, that they have no plans to add tiers to Starlink at this point. So the $99 is it, and that means even as speeds increase and everything gets faster and they launch more satellites, these speeds your price point will be the same. And they've also stated that the cost to build the dish that you put on your house and the router and everything, the cost of that kit was starting out, it was around $3,000, and they said they've cut it in half down to around $1,500. And so that means that they are taking a loss on any kit that you order. So you're only paying $500 for that kit. So, and I believe that number will at some point get to a place where there isn't that loss. And so another thing with them slowly adding more and more satellites up to 42,000 of one day, whenever that will be. I believe that'll probably get to the point where they're launching, instead of just Falcon 9 rockets, they have the ability to launch payloads with Starship. And I don't remember the exact number of Starlink satellites. I think it's like in the hundreds that they would be able to load into a Starship payload space. And so whenever they're able to do that, the rate at which they'll be able to increase the number of satellites in orbit will just be so much more rapid. And if you don't know, these satellites are actually they're only meant to last for 5 years or around that, I believe. And so they will deorbit, and Starlink will have to launch new satellites to replace those. So as they get more and more satellites in orbit, they will be able to take higher loads. The satellites themselves can communicate with each other. So I'm super excited to get Starlink, get the full order in as soon as possible. I'm hoping it's within days from now that I'll be able to place my full order, because people are already all the way in Texas able to do a full order. So yeah, right now my speeds I have here at my house in Oklahoma, I have decent speeds. Upload speeds are not nearly as good as what Starlink offers, but I have decent speeds. But the primary reason I want to be on Starlink, one, is because I support what Starlink is, what they're doing. I support SpaceX and everything they're doing. That's part of it. I want to support them in their mission to make SpaceX's mission to make the human race a multiplanetary species. But also, my current internet service provider is just not a company that I support. They just don't really care that much about their customers, and the customer service is just not good. It's not been good the whole time I've had it. Starlink is going to be a game changer it already is a game changer for many people in the United States and other countries already. So as soon as I get my Starlink dish, I will be shooting a review and making a video about that, an in-depth review on performance and just what it's like, what it's like to use it day in, day out. So I currently work remotely from home, so this will be I do video conference calls on Zoom and Google Hangouts and different stuff like that. So it'll be a good test to see, how is this holding up during a call? Will I get dropped? What will that look like? I'm interested to see how my connection holds up throughout the day, how much it drops, what that'll be like. And of course, over time, that's just it's gonna be like essentially no drops. Your connection will be constant all day. So with Starlink, SpaceX is going to be able to use the income and the money that they're making from this internet service to be able to fund what they're doing in Boca Chica, building out Starship, and just getting us to the moon, getting us to Mars, and wherever we may go in the future. Starlink is going to help fund that, and I am fully behind that. I fully back that, and I want to be a part of making that happen. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.